I'll call the meeting of January 3rd, police station subcommittee, call it to order, and I will actually just join with a few.
All right, so before I jump into Andy, he's still getting a little set up here. So you let me know there's some things going on with the water service line,
Yeah,
so we'll kind of just keep that on hold right now.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it on hold. We have a meeting on Friday morning. The estimate that the company did for us came back a lot higher than we anticipated. It came back at 5 million. And that's, I don't know what's involved in it,
The big thing on that, you should have done.
was a railroad crossing.
No, the big thing was the cost of tarring the road.
Yeah,
That was over $2 million.
So we'll have, we have a meeting on Friday morning, so.
But there's a chip sealing, how would the
Well,
asphalt? It's
I
Freetown
think-
after all.
I think the highway surveyor's plans included asphalting the road.
Right,
Sometime.
right, and that needs to be adjusted in the estimate.
Right, so we'll go over other things, maybe even
Check
the
behind
project
you.
management side of it. We could tie it into possibly our project manager, we may be able to save some money on that side, but we'll play with it and see what it comes out to. But my feeling, and we haven't spoken as a board yet, so it's just 5 million is kind of high to tie it into doing both things at the same time, but I mean, we'll talk it over on Friday morning and see where we're at. That's it.
Okay. As for the schedule update, I plugged in some dates here for really placeholders for dates that maybe the board wants to think about putting some timeline to. We talked about them, and that's the town forum, a FinCom presentation, BOS presentation, the special town meeting, and the ballot vote. So I kind of placed those where I think they'll fall in March and April, and maybe we can get some hard dates put to them soon. It's still early, but I think we should start getting those kind of laid out.
I agree, and I think that having a joint meeting with the FinCom to kind of find out exactly where their heads are at is probably not a bad idea. Because I don't know where they sit with this, you know what I mean? And I don't want to be going to town meeting when they're against us. So I'd kind of like to see with, and if they have specific questions, it'll be easier for them to ask them, and then we can anticipate what other people are going to be going around saying and doing.
I mean, we don't want them to walk out without voting on something again?
Right, or not be there.
Yeah.
You mean a joint presentation between to FinCom and BOS, or separate?
Yes, well,
Okay.
the BOS is already here anyway,
Yeah.
but I think that to have a meeting with all of us and the FinCom is probably a good idea. Go ahead.
You're gonna meet with the entire FinCom, right?
Entire
And
FinCom,
you know what?
not just the chair and,
That's right, and I
but
would
everybody.
also have that meeting videoed, like all on,
I agree, because I think we need to see, I don't know where their heads are at. I mean, I've heard things, but I don't really know for sure. Have you? You? No? Okay.
And I didn't know.
I'm sorry, I was saying, I expect that you get the kind of questions from them that any skeptic would have, so you'll be able to hopefully
Yep,
kind of nip some of that in the bud.
I agree. Get the right information
Right.
out before everybody's going off with the
Absolutely.
wrong information.
And we would work with CGA to put together, a PowerPoint or something, how we started the process, to where the design is, to what the budget is. The budget is the final thing everybody wants to talk about, obviously, so.
Why don't we have it at the officer's room in the police station, that's all.
I think it's a
There you
tremendous idea.
Seriously,
That's a great
good
idea.
I think it's a great idea, because I'm not sure how many people have actually walked foot in that
You
building.
could have the town forum there too.
Really, I've never been in
We
there.
may need a shoe on, but yeah, that would be a bad idea.
it'd be nice if you could schedule it while it was cold.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that's the thing, you're like, "Oh, don't close any doors, you're gonna freeze the pipes."
Still be cold in March.
You're right.
It doesn't want to thaw out yet.
So when are you thinking about doing that? I mean, I'd rather do it way before the town forum, so we can anticipate.
So that was my
anything.
question too. Do any of these need to move up in order? Is there any other board that you'd like to put in front? But if we want to move the joint meeting, maybe that's the first part of March. What I was trying to do was put everything right after we get the estimate back, so we have a hard number.
Okay.
So really, that's going to be the end of March. Is that beginning of March is when we're getting that estimating number back.
Yeah, that's fine. So if we do the forum somewhere around the middle of March,
Yep.
I'd say, yeah, the very beginning of March, we should do the joint meeting.
Okay, so I'll move that up to priority number 1.
Is it okay to have it at the police station? I mean, I don't
How
want,
many, I don't know if we could fit everybody in their offices or we'd be sitting on top of each other.
Well, they're gonna have to stand, just
That
like we
might kind of
do.
be the point.
that's
We're
funny.
politicking and
Or-
making a point here.
Or at least have a walk-through station as part of the,
Maybe
Well, I
we'll
think-
do that.
Yeah, well, we have to do that anyway, we're gonna have to make some kind of
but, you know,
visitation.
but for the finance committee.
But yeah, we can do one for
people-
them specifically, anyway, just like we did for the board members here and stuff, that's. no
Let's do
problem.
that. Let's have a walkthrough, like at say 5:30 and the joint meeting at 6.
Okay.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
I mean, you can have the meeting there because it's a public building.
Yeah, but
Nothing
But it just,
precludes
just
you.
like,
how many people are actually on the FinCom? For real?
Well, there's 7.
Okay.
Nothing.
I didn't-
They're all gonna show up.
Well, I don't know if all, I didn't know if all the vacancies were filled, so if we have 7 and there's like 9 or 10 of us, then we're already talking,
Oh, I know,
yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
We'll do a walkthrough at 5:30 and then we'll come over here for 6.
So what I'll do is I'll pencil those in for the first week of March, and then town forum mid-March, and then it looks like we can lay out, or, you know, if you want to, lay out the special town meeting date and ballot vote dates. You can get those in April.
Yeah. That works.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. That'll drive our schedule. On to the radio survey. I spoke with Chip, and I know he had given the town a proposal around 15 grand for all in for the radio survey. I think the town approved 9 at the town meeting. He spoke with me today, and he said he would honor his proposal for 9. So he would take care of everything for it. So what I want to do is I'll send that back around, circulate it back, and just, if everybody is okay to move forward in that direction, we'll give them a notice to proceed. So I just wanted to go through it one more time myself. He just called me on the way here because I had been pestering him, but I think it's very nice of him that he's doing that. So,
Absolutely.
Probably felt sorry for us after he saw
he
it.
probably did. He said he has a good understanding of, you know, what you guys need after coming down here and talking with you. So he said he would honor it and move forward. So.
Do you want a motion and vote on that to move forward, or are you all set? I mean, town meeting really approved it anyway. so-
Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
already approved, but
Okay.
I'll just send it to you and I'll say, here's the proposal. I'll cross out the number he has, right not to exceed 9,000, and then,
We'll go from
Yeah.
there. Perfect.
all right, Andy, it's your show.
Thanks. So we met back on December 19th, and we discussed a way to reduce site costs. And since then, I've continued with the design development. I've had a couple of meetings with the consultants for the design team. Although that was pretty difficult with vacations and there wasn't many people around. But I did have a good meeting with Nate from GGD about the site, and he hasn't followed up with any drawing. So I'll go back to my drawing, but I'll tell you what we discussed, and we've also figured a few more things out since then. So we went through the grading extensively, the regrading, to reduce these retaining walls, and it seems as if this will work fine, and he's gonna work that in. Then, of course, eliminating the throat was no problem. And we're gonna eliminate a few spaces over here. After last meeting, I was targeting 22 back here. How does that sound?
I'll get back in a minute.
Okay, that's what I took out of our discussion. And I'm showing more than 22 here. What happens is, reduction in paving equals reduction in paving costs plus reduction in subsurface drainage. So it's the double whammy. The concept I described last time of employees parking here, I understand the concerns, it's not gonna work. I do wanna get these down, I don't wanna say the absolute minimum, but the right size without any extra paving. So, a couple of things we talked about with Nate, Bob Kelleher went with me to the meeting. So, right now, we have quite a bit of underground drainage here, underneath this parking lot and this parking lot. Underground drainage, a few disadvantages to it. One, it's expensive, and two, you're basically soaking the subsurface of your parking, of your asphalt. Which, it generally works, but we're thinking about something more that Nate calls country drainage, where it flows towards the resource area, and, we pitch it over here. So less under the ground and more draining into the resource. So that's what, he's looking into that now. So we're gonna look into that. How'd you make out with the count?
You're all set.
22? Okay, so, and this is gonna get a bit smaller. We're gonna make 22 spots right out here. So we'll eliminate some paving here. This will be gone. We're gonna relook at the storm drainage, especially the stuff that's underneath. A couple of things that have come up. One thing is, more than half of the drainage from the school roof flows this way and onto the site. We've traced it back and found the outflows, which break out. There is a dry well over on the other side towards, I guess that would be Bullock. But this side just drains and flows out. So, we have to make sure that we design a swale that's gonna take it around, and it all ends up back in here. The other thing we've discovered now, and after we've sized everything, is that the culvert under the street is undersized for the amount of area it's draining. So I don't know if you've ever experienced an overflow in the road.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what was our problem when you guys proposed the corner.
Right.
It happened quite often.
So that would all be solved. We checked the elevations on the other side of the street. That would all be solved by upgrading this pipe or culvert that runs underneath the street to probably two pipes, or a larger one that runs across. And then it would break out and it would flow. This is all lower up here. I got a hold of an extended survey from Bob that extended out from his land. So we need to look at that. It's undersized now. We'll actually be adding a little more impervious to it. So it'll be even more undersized. So I don't know when this could be done, or if it could even get into work sooner rather than later because of an ongoing issue. Could really be a problem in a winter storm where it went over and then froze across the street. But we need to look at this. Nate's gonna size a proper culvert for it. And then we'll have some more discussions after that. The only other thing we want to take a look at is the existing site plan is showing some vents over in this area coming up out of the ground. We want to see if they are in fact there. Sometimes these things show up on these aerial surveys and aren't really there, but we got some vents right here that we got to look at, make sure we don't have an issue. Other than that, Nate's reworking all this, and in a couple of weeks, he'll have the new site plan. So that meeting went well. Any questions on this?
What's a vent?
It could be, sometimes you vent a tank, sometimes you vent a leach field. It's pipe, yeah. So all we saw it on the plan, as we started looking close, and we started focusing on, how much water is actually sheeting down here and ending up in the swale, and we found it on the plan over this area here.
Chief, when you counted up those parking spots, did you take into account the flip between shifts?
No?
No. Did not, thank you. Our number just went up. We need 25.
25?
That'll cover all of that with an extra.
I think it's no problem.
We could just.
So part of design development, we're developing our sections and, exactly how the building's constructed, and I just pulled this simple section to maybe give you an idea of the scale of the attic and the space above. So this is a section through the main part of the building. You can see the structural bays. This one's large because the meeting room takes place in here. This is cut the long way down the building. You can see this is about a 6-foot person standing up in this attic. So it can really give you some scale about what goes on here. We'll be cutting this off, and there'll also be some mechanicals up in this area as we further the design. But this just goes to show you what kind of space we'd be getting up in the attic. And you can see the 5x5 steel columns, the floor framing for the attic, and the various footings and foundations. So really just for scale, I thought I'd bring it in. And this drawing here, although simplified, you can start to see the continuous insulation that goes on. It insulates the whole envelope rather than up it through the floors. Any questions? So this is a blown up section through the front wall of the building. I did this for a couple of reasons. Here's a 6-foot person again to show you some scale. Here's a window now in section that you see on the elevations. This is the transom stacked up above the window. You can see somebody looking out the window. The transom would be up about here. So the windows are tall, and the ceiling set somewhere in the neighborhood of 9.6 would be at this height right here. Bottom of the floor joist at 12.6, leaving 3 feet of space for mechanicals, lighting, and everything else. This drawing also illustrates our continuous insulation in the path as it goes up. You can see now that the structural details are starting to fill in, and this is what we're going back and forth with the consultants and developing that further. One idea I was looking at is you can see a rain gutter here with a downspout that is just cut off for now. I'm not a huge fan of gutters. But, when they're performing well, they're great. That's when you have a perfect place to bring the water, and when they don't clog up with leaves and pine needles and stuff. So, and it's also beneficial to the design. While there'd be a few areas where we'd have to pick up some water just at a door, we're looking at maybe a stone bed with drains underneath the stone that would come down and pick the water up. I don't know if you're receptive to that, but I'm looking at that with the civil engineer right now. It actually worked good, and it actually helps us in some other ideas, some other areas of the site design, rather than carrying a gutter all the way around that. You know the problems that can.
That's maintenance too.
Right.
It's have to be maintained, otherwise,
Exactly.
so I mean, that'll be less,
And you got some tall trees around there.
just, you know.
So does anybody have any questions about the ceiling height, the windows, and how it all ties together?
What is the seal, is it a drop ceiling? What do you typically do? for
It's a drop
ceiling?
ceiling with some hard soffits in certain areas, but it would be a dropped acoustical ceiling, better than the quality of this, but, yes.
They look a lot better than this now, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they are easy to maintain, even if you have a leak or anything.
Yeah, very easy to get at
I mean,
things
it's
underneath it,
economical to maintain.
very good sound
Light
absorption
fixtures, you
quality.
can change, I mean, the lights you can change,
Right, so it'd be a combination of this and an integration of soffits in certain areas.
How do you work in the high security areas like the armory and the evidence room and stuff like that?
Those typically, well, they got a hard ceiling above them
Right.
eventually. So if you see this here,
Yeah.
this is gonna be a hard ceiling with gypboard. So even if someone was to pop the ceiling up, you're only going this far here. Because there'll be a hard ceiling, and this will also, this has a couple of purposes. One is it's very good for sound, and it's also very good, it protects these members from fire on this first floor. These wooden I-beams that we use don't perform great in fire. They're so efficient because they removed all the material you don't need structurally. So there's the web's thin in the middle, so that'll protect it from fire. And so you do have a hard ceiling above you at all times.
And then in detention, you'd have a straight hard ceiling.
Yeah,
This
it's all
doesn't-
gonna be concrete blocks.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I think a key point that you pointed out too, though, is that 3-foot area mechanical space, you know, contractors look at that, and that's a good amount of work for them to work in. A good height. They look at that as, you know, easy to install, you know, working in that. So that's good. The more space you can give them and still keep your 9'6" head height is great.
This wall section is based on a 12-foot stud. The stud's exactly 12. It goes from 10 to 12. We certainly couldn't get away with a 10, and so I took the advantage of the full 12. And all things given, it yields the perfect vertical dimensions that I'd like.
In your mow strip for drainage that you were talking about, you'd be about 2 feet out or 3 feet out on the other side, on the left side of the.
More than that, like it would, you know, there'd be deep planting beds.
Yeah.
Probably in the order of 4 or 5 feet off the building, sometimes 6.
Yeah.
You'd both plant in it and drain in it.
Okay.
So it would be,
Yeah.
it would be the planting bed, and then instead of having mulch, you'd have stone. It's nice, you don't have to redo it every year. Doesn't mitigate or wash away.
Like around the garage, huh? Like,
Yeah. Yep, like around the garage. So, these are just more sections. This one happens to be through detention. You can see the concrete block here. So it's concrete block. I believe it was, the floor to floor in detention is 1510. And I believe that's 22 block crosses. Then we're developing a 12-inch concrete plank above that, which this would be, support the gym or the fitness room. That'd be over the detention area, and the utility storage area, the auxiliary storage area. This gets a 2-inch topping of concrete right here. Then above that, we would just start with some wood framing in that area, because that's a full 2-story space going back in. This is this part of the building right here. These walls are 2 stories that come back in and hit the back of the roof on the back side. Also, too, you can see here, this retaining wall here that you could see coming around that is in the schematic design estimate now just comes over, runs along this back side of this driveway, and this one's been halved to here. So the section we're looking at now are right through here. So what happens is there's a change in height. The Sally Port needs the highest area where the ambulances come, where you could have an ambulance come in. That's what we designed for. And you have the overhead door. Then we don't need to be this high floor to floor for the other areas. So it will step down. It will be in the form of on the second floor, the floor will slope. You know, with a low slope ramp for a little bit. And you can see it comes down to this 13 8 3/4, which was the same floor to floor height in the first section you saw. This is the concrete plank just going the other way, and we can adjust and get it perfect by varying the topping, the concrete topping that we put on. So it's concrete block for this first story, back to wood frame for the second, and again, you can trace continuous insulation all the way up and around.
Just curious, rather than sloping it, why not keep it all at, you know, one height?
The Sally Port has to be 1510, and that would even bring our building proportions out. It's too high,
Yeah.
even for the plate, and we don't need all that height. We're still, 9'6" is about as high as I'd want to go to ceilings, and 3 feet is plenty. So it's a perfect place to make the transition. So the majority of the building is at this 13 8 3/4.
Yeah.
If you,
Rather than carrying everything at 15.
right, this 15 is just, that might be a good way to look at it. Just this little hammerhead right here.
Yeah.
Goes from 196 to 198. See the sketch? So it's just that hammerhead where you drive with a drive-through Sally Port.
Yeah.
I just started playing around with some colors. But first, we talked about this last time. There's that hammerhead, so it would be in that height there. And again, you can see how much we're going to reduce those retaining walls if you look at that one. So the original color scheme I used was this one. This is almost like a gray on a gray. And I started plugging in Revit some of the colors that you can get with the Hardy plank, which comes pre-finished. This one here is, I like on the roof colors, I like to keep like a traditional architectural color, either slate, which I think would go good on this building. This would be more like a tiled look, like a tiled roof look. It goes to the reddish brown, or you could go for a wood shake roof and use architectural shingles. So this is a light on dark scheme. I'm partial to the red brick. So usually when studying colors, I like to keep one element, and I think that would be the red brick on the pilasters and the beige pedestals and entablatures there. This one here, it's taking that gray, it's taking that same gray shingle, only applying a lighter roof now. So this is a scheme where you've got the red brick piers and 2 grays with the roof a little darker. This now gets more into a beige, keeping with the gray roof. Again, sticking with the red brick piers. This here now would be, this roof would start to look more like wood shakes in this color, like a cedar blend. But I just started playing with those colors. We don't have to decide now, but maybe just start thinking about it. And I can leave you with a box of samples of the roof and the,
Ugh, that last one looked like it belonged in Santa Fe.
this is my preferred,
Yeah,
Right
that's
here.
my word.
the brick with that. So,
Is there a little darker gray? in?
what's that?
Is there a little bit of a darker gray for the siding?
Oh, yeah, there's everything in between. There's 20, we want to stick within the pre-finished
Yeah.
warranted color. There's 27 colors to choose from and a lot of grays.
You can make it.
Plus, like, the carpet that we picked out had some black and blues in it, so if we went darker, that would be fine.
So, I did have quite a long meeting with the interior people this week. More about, not anything about colors or finishes, it was more about some spatial stuff. She would like to come in and meet with the chief with some specific questions on storage and whatnot, sooner rather than later. So as soon as we could do that, that'd be great. And then she has some other things to talk about as we get more specific about lockers and what might go in them. That's just one example of things like that. So I was thinking about having her meet with the chief and then bringing her again back to the next meeting with some of her stuff and questions as we keep developing the design on the construction stuff.
The one thing that we saw in the Cushnet, I think it was the USB plugs in all of the lockers.
Yeah, Cushing had
Yeah,
probably the best setup.
I agree. Those are really nice.
That's one of the things we talked about,
Yeah.
things like that.
We didn't like the key system in a Cushnet.
That was horrible, that could be.
The key
What was
system in a Cushnet is problematic because for some reason, the system, you have to recharge the keys. And, you know, if you're on vacation, now you come into the station, you
The
can't
keys
get into
dead?
the keys dead.
I've
So
never
basically,
I've never seen that.
It's like a physical key with a chip on it.
Yeah.
And
You have to
like-
recharge it?
Yeah, you have to basically like kind of almost
Like
like,
you do a
like
portable radio.
recertify it almost.
Yeah.
Because I guess it expires after a certain.
I've
amount
done
of time.
about 15 access control.
I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I've
It
never
was
seen
done that
one.
way because it was the cheapest way to do it.
Oh, yeah, I would never recommend
And
that.
it's showing why
Yeah.
it's cheaper.
So we'd want to stay
Oh,
away
yeah.
from that and go with one of the more conventional.
Sure.
Problem.
Oh, yeah, never seen one that you have to
It's-
recharge.
it's odd.
No, we're not gonna do that.
I mean, they even
I wouldn't let that happen.
integrated that system, key system into the lockers as
Yep.
well.
To
But-
access each of their lockers?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
but I'm told, you know, they chase the chief around to recharge and reset their keys, you know?
It's like a constant
Because
battle.
if it dies, it has to be totally reset.
Yeah,
and programmed.
yeah.
So, yeah,
So-
so
That sounds
So
like a
I
mess.
never done it. Yeah.
and they're also big, they're about like that big, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm used to just seeing a typical, either key card, the same size as a credit card, or
Yeah,
a fob. And the fob's the size of a quarter. It goes on your keychain.
So I thought that was until I saw it was.
Yeah, and we like to use, long-range readers in certain places, so if you're in the Sally Port, you bring somebody in, you're holding a guy, you just have to go near it, it's on your belt.
Well,
Yeah, the
I
door's
worked in
open.
Mansfield, they had that system. It worked
Yeah.
Great.
That's the type of system we used to see, so.
So is she gonna give me a call, or?
If you have some dates, I can bring to her, if you could tell me now, or I could start an email chain also.
Tomorrow I'm available.
I'm up for it.
So next week? Anytime next week.
So I'd like to do it at the beginning of the week. I'm gonna, shoot for Monday or Tuesday,
Sure.
see what you can do.
Yep.
We'll come to you. Because she actually wants to see,
Get an idea of our current style.
yeah, get a better feel for your storage.
All right, that's a good idea. We'll take her to the,
You have storage?
containers. I don't know.
Yeah.
They have-
Like shipping containers.
Up to the backyard.
Well, depending on snow, we might not be able to get to it.
And you did work on colors?
Well, we actually talked to her before she left, so we gave her the colored carpet choice that we had picked out. We were quick on that. So she's got something to go by.
Well,
Yes,
it's
you
important.
agreed.
Yeah.
See,
I always-
I'm not going down by myself.
Yeah. So would she wanna come back 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So we could schedule our next meeting a week from, or 2 weeks from today, it'd be the 17th. 5:30. Keep right on moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. When would we talk about furniture?
That can, so CGA will be putting together a furniture plan as far as their set. And it's pretty much I would not say a guess, but it's their best estimate of where things go in a room. We can sit down before the documents go out to bid with, like a WB Mason, but it's typically actually done after.
Okay.
It's something that's done, pretty much when you're in construction. We can talk about that. I'll put together a schedule where I kind of see all our owner vendor items falling out, radios, security, all those things that we'll have to be working on the owner side of things.
I think it would be great if you guys could actually talk amongst yourselves about furniture, like the detective's room, the sergeant's room, of what you basically need.
Well,
And
one of
then-
the things about furnishing is the chairs, because you're wearing gun belts, et cetera, arms
Yeah.
or extended out or something.
Especially for us less thin people.
But at least have an idea of where you're going, and
Yeah.
that way when Andy is ready to go, then you can give him, focus on what you guys
So
want.
Other stations, news stations would work maybe.
Yeah, there's,
I
there's
I
consultants
can
that we
probably
work
do it
with.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna, I wouldn't reinvent the wheel, there's a lot of stuff we've already seen pretty much.
and you
works.
guys are not it's not like you're going for the
No.
extravagant level
No.
of things,
Just
so.
don't
We were not getting any gold
Right.
faucets?
Gold force, right,
you want durability and, looks good.
right,
Um,
practical.
And, if we
Right.
sat down with, we work a lot with WB Mason, we don't have to, but, they come in and they've done hundreds of police stations, so that bang, 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 here's what we recommend for this room, that room, and they understand all those intricacies. It's easy.
Perfect. Anybody else have questions? I just think the biggest thing right now is to stick to the schedule and to get ready to start promoting this. I know I keep saying it, but we're getting closer and closer.
So Lisa, I think what we'll do is, we'll task John Pina with taking photographs of the station, maybe put together a PowerPoint and also put together a video. And then we can put them wherever, whatever website.
And the storage units you should include in there because you don't have.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a lot. I don't think people realize that, you know, what you don't have right in there. I mean, I knew you didn't have storage, but I didn't know really what it was like.
I think that's how you'll start off your presentation the night that we have to, do it at town meeting, is to make sure that we start off with, this is what we have. This is not practical for us, it's not really true safe, it's not really truly safe.
It's gonna be really, really important to do a really good job on all of that in order to sell it. Because all this work, and just sit here if we don't do a
Right.
good job on a presentation.
And then how we're saving money, how it was budgeted at this amount of money, and how, CGA and Pomeroy and the committee have really worked to save money for the town, and how we came to the final conclusion of the 9.5 or wherever we're at.
Mhm.
So I think that would be smart to do, and then we'll do questions and answers. But it all depends on who's in the room at the time. And then, not only that, it's the ballot vote.
Yeah.
I think too, looking at I mean, you have a different population, but how you sold the schools and what you did, what steps you did in order to get this to the population. Because most people don't even come up here to the police station.
I think it's such an easier sell than the schools, though. I think the police station is something that everybody uses.
Yeah, but if they're not, but you don't come in contact with the mass. You have a great group for selling when you have 500 kids, because the parents and the grandparents, here, it's different, and so to get it out, we have to come up with some kind of a plan, and how are we going to get it out to everybody, to get them to come vote yes? And I don't know, and maybe, I mean, you were involved with the schools, I was involved somewhat, but what worked there and what we can incorporate to work for us,
I just think it's getting the right information out, but I also think it's the integrity of the people that are selling it. So,
getting it out to enough.
yep.
And the right information, and maybe having it too, then eventually on the cable access channel, what,
Oh, definitely.
have that playing, having it on the website, having, enough information on the signs, go to the website. And, it's gonna take a good sell, I mean, because in between, taxes, say March, February and May,
Right,
it's always fresh,
yep.
You want to balance your presentation between, the existing conditions, what the tax increase is going to be, and, what that overall cost is. That's what everybody looks at.
And what our needs are, I mean, maybe even, a typical situation or a typical accident and what the needs are, or, while all this is happening, and not even places to put the people that you bring in, I mean, as far as potential prisoners, or, if you're not involved, you don't think about it.
Yeah, and there's probably some good points, how policing's changed,
Right, yeah.
that, you guys could probably hit and, just look at the surrounding areas, Lakeville's building a new one, Dayton's building a new one, Dartmouth's building a new one, it's keeping up right now, it's, that's huge. You don't wanna get left in the past,
It
and
wasn't-
that station's in the past.
It wasn't so many years that it wasn't in the town hall, in the front of the town hall.
Yeah.
I mean, an office, and then a hallway, and, I mean, you remember, right? I remember. So, I mean, we've come this far, but we got a long way to go.
You used to bring prisoners in, and the long benches? You'd handcuff them to the long benches that are in the town hall. Because there was no, until you booked them, and then you took them to the state police barracks.
Yeah, Girl Scouts
That's
could
how
be
it
walking
used to
by or anything, I mean, just, it was like,
What I found is very helpful for outreach on these public projects, and I make a point to do it on every one I'm on, is, and you can't do this too soon, you gotta kinda do it like the time of the vote, but, the last one I was involved in that went to a vote, the committee and some of the other people off the committee did a great job with videos. They did great, they put them on Facebook. They had 2 public forums where, you know, they set up in the auditorium of the school, or we did. We gave a presentation, we had any questions, they could come up and ask. We had, this one here was very close to the neighbors. We had a neighbors' night to come and see the project. But here's what I found. So, in this town I was working in, I knew quite a bit of people, so I made it a point that I was gonna pick up the phone and call 25 people or talk face to face. And what I found very interesting was, out of well more than half of those 25 people had no clue and were still completely misinformed after all this information and probably weren't gonna vote for it. And I could feel like I really changed their mind by the time the conversation was over, and I could tell there was a lot of, oh, really? People are very lazy with this stuff. They just hear about it passing by, and they hear the big number, and they don't bother to learn anymore. So there's nothing, what I'm getting at, there's nothing like face-to-face or on the phone. You know, you see someone at see 20 people at a soccer game, you talk to them about it. And I'm just amazed at how much, even with social media today, how much people don't know.
So there's information overload around us. People
Yeah.
block things out now.
But it's very effective, is my point.
Yeah.
Like, especially me being from this town, my goal on this one will be maybe to talk to 100 people
Yeah, and
with the truth.
we don't have places where people gather anymore.
No, we lost
I mean, we
Kathy's.
have the citadels, we did, before was the market and the inn and the coffee shops. And we have one coffee shop, you know, we have a coffee shop up this end, but those kind of like people will sit around and talk and, you know, you can get some yeses and no's. That's what's hard now, in our town. You know, so that's why we're gonna, maybe everybody take 25 names and look at it.
Yeah, you talk to them either face-to-face on the phone, and then they talk.
And maybe have a sheet, you know, each of us, make sure we hit all these points.
But there's a lot of value into that, is my point.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And, you know, like, so, we're doing the numbers on that one. We felt that if, I think the magic number was around 300, if 300 people showed up, we were in trouble. That's what we thought. But what I'm saying is, speaking to those 25, I know I reached 75. If you can if you tell these people to go and vote, it can make a big difference. We got that one, but we might not have if it wasn't for that last push that we did and talked to people about it. Don't assume that they're paying attention to the video or going online.
And they might only watch part of it and not, you know.
One of the things that, you get people that go to the town meeting, that's one thing. But when it goes to the ballot vote, you can't touch everybody. And, you know, I mean, tax bills, people just got tax bills today and yesterday. And that scares me because I saw what my taxes went up.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
I didn't look at mine yet. What am I in for?
it did go up, they own it.
I mean, my taxes, and I don't have a big house, I mean, mine went up $222.
For the year?
And that's, we don't have, I'm basing it on the estimated figures, because they're gonna be adjusted further as on the next tax bill. That was a concern of mine, when I saw it. Not me personally, but I'm saying, Jesus, if this is happening to the average household, we gotta be real careful as to how we present this thing and the needs for it.
Yeah, timing is everything, and
But the other thing is that people have to understand is, you know, we talk about escalation and it's very real. So we talk about the cost of this today, and then before you know it, 5 years goes by, it's another $1.5 million.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a huge.
it's hard.
and you're
so we
throwing
wanna
away
get it
more
the
money
first
on an
time,
inefficient
you know?
building.
I think that's the biggest
No.
presentation, that people need to know that what we have just doesn't work. And it hasn't worked for a long
And
time.
if we wait, it's just gonna cost so much more.
That's not for lack of trying either. It's not there.
No,
You can't do it.
it can work. I mean, even with all the money that was spent
It
over the
does
last couple
something.
of years.
I was laughing about, Paul, I was laughing about the other day, I had a space heater on, the wall is chilling me out. I got like an ice block behind me, I got a heater in front of me, and we know we just dumped all this money into it. We
Yep.
tried, we can't do it.
Doesn't work.
Right.
3,000 square feet, most new homes are. 2,800 square feet.
Yeah, and most new homes can heat the home, you know?
And then how much are we saving in proper heating? and-
Exactly.
Oh, I can
Sure.
imagine.
So we can throw that too,
Yeah,
like,
we
we're
have to
gonna
get
have a
those
more
facts.
energy efficient building as opposed to what we have now, so we can look into those costs and show them what, you know,
The
the
engineers
savings
can-
would be in the long run.
They can give you
Black and white.
paybacks and, yeah, exactly, on the systems.
But I think if we all have, once we gather it, we all have the same, do a sheet, you know, with all this facts and information, so that when you're calling, we're saying, you know, the same things, and they're facts. So someone doesn't say, well, Ben called me and he said it was gonna be 200 more,
Yeah,
you know.
consistency.
Yeah, we gotta, you know, every single one of us have the same thing and make it, you know, and even use them with people and, all be on the same page once we do start contacting. So that, you know, we don't have wrong information.
Well, you made a good point. I mean, over time, we're gonna save a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Right.
we gotta have those figures
Yep.
presented.
And I think bringing in, you know, the Dayton and Lakewood and all these other towns to
Yeah, we're the-
average
we're the
size
last
of what they're
ones.
doing, what they're doing and stuff.
Everybody
like that.
else.
Yeah, everybody around you is
Yeah.
building it.
Yeah.
Right, and would we have to ever rely on those communities because they're behind? You know what I mean, like, that's a possibility in some way, shape or form, and it's not anything that we wanna do. We wanna do it for our own community, not have to rely on another community because we don't have something in our
No,
community
and then
that they
it'll cost
need.
us more in the end if we keep relying on others, so.
Right. Is that it?
That's it.
Everybody good? Alright,
Make your
Motion
all in favor?